Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. The hantavirus outbreak aboard the Dutch-flagged MV Hondius cruise ship, which has already led to 8 confirmed cases and 3 deaths, appears to be spreading. After the ship docked in Tenerife, Spain, approximately 150 passengers began repatriation flights to their home countries. During these journeys, a U.S. passenger tested positive for hantavirus. Although currently asymptomatic, this individual was among 17 U.S. passengers returning to Omaha, Nebraska, where they will be sent to a biocontainment isolation unit, while others will undergo assessment and monitoring at a national quarantine center. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu also announced that one of 5 French passengers repatriated from the ship developed symptoms while on their special flight. All French returnees are now under strict isolation and are scheduled for testing. This news comes from D.O. Shiba. 17 American citizens evacuated from the hantavirus-affected cruise ship Hondius are currently being airlifted to the United States, as confirmed by the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, and reported by UPI. This repatriation flight follows the vessel's docking in Tenerife, Spain's Canary Islands, where nearly 150 passengers and crew from various nations disembarked. Among the 17 Americans, one individual is experiencing mild symptoms, and another tested mildly PCR positive for the Andes strain of hantavirus. Both are traveling in specialized biocontainment units as a precautionary measure. They are being transported to the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response's Regional Emerging Special Pathogen Treatment Center at the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, with the symptomatic passenger moving to a second RESPTC facility thereafter. The outbreak linked to the Hondius cruise has so far resulted in 6 confirmed and 2 probable hantavirus cases, including 2 fatalities. The vessel originally departed from Ushuaia, Argentina on April 1, with the outbreak identified on May 2, after some passengers had already disembarked elsewhere. According to a Xinhua report on Monday, U.S. military intelligence gathering flights have significantly increased off the coast of Cuba in recent months. Since February 4, the U.S. Navy and Air Force have conducted at least 25 flights, primarily near Havana and Santiago de Cuba, with some missions coming within 40 miles, 64 kilometers of the Cuban coast. The operations have mainly involved P-8, a Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft designed for surveillance and reconnaissance, alongside other specialized signals, intelligence, and high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft and drones. This sudden frequency and proximity of flights are noted as unusual for the region. The surge coincides with intensified rhetoric and actions by U.S. President Donald Trump against Cuba, including reposting comments about visiting a free Havana, ordering an oil blockade, and imposing new sanctions on Cuban economic entities. CNN observed similar patterns of escalated U.S. rhetoric followed by increased surveillance flights prior to military operations in Venezuela and Iran. The Pentagon declined to comment on these findings. According to Yahoo News, French President Emmanuel Macron visited Kenya on May 10th, ahead of the Africa Forward Summit, which commenced on May 11. This summit serves as a platform to highlight France's new policy towards the African continent, shifting from its past colonial dominance to a relationship of equal partnership. The event is notable, as it is the first time an English-speaking African nation is hosting such a summit. Discussions are expected to focus on the reactions to France's military withdrawal from West Africa, which concluded last year, and its impact on regional influence. Kenyan President William Ruto, who hosted Macron, expressed his anticipation that the summit's outcomes would strengthen economic cooperation, mobilize funds, and support Africa's development priorities. A total of 30 heads of state are expected to participate in the 2-day summit, with 10 already having arrived in Kenya. According to Lianhe Zhaobao, Russian ambassador to Japan, Nozdrojov, announced that the relationship between Russia and Japan has entered an ice age. He stated that bilateral ties are undergoing an unprecedented deterioration not seen since the end of World War II. Ambassador Nazrudov attributed this severe downturn to Japan's support for sanctions against Russia and its adherence to the anti-Russia policies pursued by Western nations. These actions, he noted, have effectively nullified the achievements made in bilateral relations. The report from RIA Novosti on Monday, May 11, highlighted that peace treaty negotiations between Russia and Japan were suspended in 2022 after the Japanese government imposed sanctions in response to the Ukraine conflict. The two countries have historically been unable to conclude a formal peace treaty since World War II, primarily due to an ongoing dispute over the sovereignty of the Southern Kuril Islands, which Japan refers to as the Northern Territories. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, marked the beginning of Europe's largest military conflict since the Second World War. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.